Hi, I'm Catherine Bramkamp, and this is the third session in our mini workshop, Dance with Your Muse. And this is about how to generate new ideas. Now, we talked about going into overwhelm, finding a museum, spending an afternoon looking at new things, getting your head around new ideas, discovering new things. Those are all wonderful ways of getting out of your head and into a world that's got other stuff going on. Films are good for that. Public events are good for that. Music, if you are a writer, go listen to music. If you are a musician, go look at paintings in a museum. Look at something that's very different than what you normally traffic in, and that can often generate some interesting ideas and a different way of thinking and doing. So if you're a writer, let's say you're Virginia Woolf, and you go to the Grafton Galleries in 1911, 1912, and you see all of this post-impressionists. You see all of these Cezannes. You see the Van Goghs. And if you're Woolf, you say, how can I do that kind of thing with words? If you're T.S. Eliot, you say, how can I do that kind of thing in poetry? How do I capture what those painters have captured? That's what we can do. So if you are wanting a new idea, go find a new method of expression. You can experiment with it. So sometimes making really bad art helps your really good writing, or sometimes making really good art is predicated on making really bad poetry. All of that is legitimate, and all of that can help you. And that's what we want to do. We want to help you get to your project in a way that you will feel deeply satisfied and it'll work for you. So, how do you use your journal and your writing to make this happen? So there is a process, believe it or not, there's a process on how to generate new ideas. So the journaling way, hold on, let me just get my notes so I get it right for you. The process for using your journal to generate new ideas is to get onto that 10-minute write, 15-minute write bandwagon that we talked about a long time ago in another workshop. And you want to show up consistently because that's part of the gig here. It's part of the gig with the Muse. And you want to write for 10 minutes, write about whatever you want to. The next day, look at what you wrote the day before. So look at your journaling. Don't share it. You're just looking at it. This is all for you. You knew that, right? Look at what you wrote. Anything stick out? Is there a word that's even interesting? Or is there a phrase? Or is there kind of the germ of an idea? Maybe it's a German of an idea. I don't know. Take that little piece, and it's going to be small. That's okay. Take that, put it at the head of a fresh page in your journal or a fresh screen on your computer. Write for 10 minutes on that. Now go away. Now you're done. Congratulations. You get a participation badge and a ribbon for showing up. Yay. The next day, look at that piece. So look at what you wrote the day before. What do you see? What comes up? What strikes you? Maybe it's 2 sentences now. Maybe it's a whole paragraph now. Take that paragraph out of that journal writing section, take it out of that page, plop it over into a new page. And you can literally cut and paste this, by the way. Cut up the journal. Tape it to a new page. Write about that for 10 minutes. What you're doing is you're allowing yourself to follow a creative trail. It does not need to make sense. In fact, it's almost better if it makes no sense, because think of some of our great art. Does Harry Potter necessarily make sense? Does anything that Fitzgerald wrote make a lot of sense? It doesn't make sense. You're not making sense, you're making art, which is different. You make the sense out of art when someone else looks at it and interprets it and says, oh, this makes sense. And the artist says, wow, cool. No idea. So your goal is to follow a thread and to see where it takes you. This process, as you do it, maybe you do it for a whole week. So you work on it, leave it. Work on it, leave it. It's a back and forth kind of thing. Keep showing up. The muse will give you ideas overnight and you'll say, oh, wow, okay, I hadn't thought about that, so I'm going to put that in. Oh, hadn't thought about that. I'm going to put that in. You do this consistently, one of two things will happen. Either you're done, you've worked out an idea and you've taken it as far as it needs to go within that framework of your journaling, or you've got the first chapter of something. You have the start of an outline. You have some idea that is super juicy and super interesting, and you think, oh yeah, I could spend a year on this. This would be awesome. Let me do some research and see what else I've got going on. You've created that new idea. And back to figuring it out or finishing it up. Oftentimes, we go through a whole routine of an idea. We follow it along, we do the work. I've had like 2 weeks where I've just sort of followed something and I work on it and I go and I think, oh, I'm not that excited anymore. Maybe 2 weeks was all I needed with the idea. And maybe the muse has decided that I'm not the delivery system. And that happens. A really good book about that is Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic. And she talks about that. She talks about how the muse will go by her artists, and some artists are going to be right on it. And she says, here's this idea. And the artist is ready. They're ready to write it. They're ready to craft it. They're ready to bring it into life. And other artists hear the same idea, but they're not ready for it. It's not the right time. And time is important. Timing is critical. It's okay. It's okay. Something else will happen that will come at you. I think the biggest thrill or the biggest joy of being a creative and creating, and you are a creator now, you're a writer, you're an artist, the biggest joy is to allow yourself to be possessed by the muse, to allow yourself to be absolutely focused on something and you can't shake it and you can't not do it, and it's all around you and it's there and you get to do the work of it. That's in the zone. That's the flow that you hear about. And that's what you want to pursue. That's what you want to do. You want a big idea or a strong idea or a pretty good idea, and you want it to overtake you so that you have that creative moment that makes our life so much richer and so much more interesting. So to go back to our part about being super busy, instead of having somebody say to you, so what have you been doing? You don't have to say, oh, I've been so super busy. I've been crazy busy. You don't have to say that. You can say, oh, I've been working intensely on these 3 paintings depicting the busyness of life. And I am so jazzed and so creative that I want to share that with you. And if she's a really good friend, she'll support you. If she doesn't support you, you may want to consider new friends. So thank you for joining me on this mini course. We have full workshops available in person. I have longer teachable classes on journaling. And of course, we've got our various offerings through thehealingpress.com. So come by and visit us.